Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on fluid mechanics and hydraulic machines. We are continuing our topic of hydrostatic forces on surfaces. So we will do a quick revision of our previous topic. So in our last lecture we started with inclined plane surface submerged in a liquid. So here, as you can see, this is the surface that we are having, and this surface is inclined at an angle of theta from the free surface. The center of gravity and center of pressure are G and P respectively, having a height of h bar and h star respectively, and a distance of y bar and y star respectively from this O axis. So here, to obtain the total pressure and center of pressure, we took a small horizontal strip over here having a width, a thickness of dy, having area dA. So in this way we started with P as rho gh and dF, and then integrated this term, so we get the total pressure F, rho g a h bar. The next we calculated was the center of pressure. That is done in this way, that moment of force dF about axis OO, and then we integrated it and equated it with the moment of total force F about OO. So by applying parallel axis theorem over here, we obtained the value of center of pressure. The next was curved surface submerged in a liquid. So here, as you can see, the curved surface is from A to B over here, and here we again begin with a small area dA. The pressure was rho gh, so total pressure is rho gh dA. So here the total pressure was like this. Here the force is not same at each small section, so we cannot directly integrate it. So we took the force components, that is Fx and Fy, and we integrated them. So in this way we calculated the force for a curved surface submerged in a liquid. Now our today's theory is about buoyancy and its effects. So first we will see the basic definition for this. When a body is immersed in a fluid, an upward force exerted by a fluid on the body. This upward force is equal to the weight of fluid displaced by the body, and it is called as force of buoyancy or simple buoyancy. So here if we take a small example, that let's have one vessel like this. Inside this vessel, let's say we are having a stone kind of a stuff, that is a solid body, and So here we can see that the body is immersed in a fluid, so there will be an upward force. Upward force is exerted on the fluid by the fluid on the body. So here there will be an upward force. Exerted by the fluid on the body, and this force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the body, and it is called as force of buoyancy. So here FB will be equal to W. Now the next is center of buoyancy. So here let me erase this figure first. So center of buoyancy, it is defined as the point. It is defined as the point through which the force of buoyancy is supposed to act. So it is very similar to the center of pressure. Here it is a point through which the force of buoyancy is supposed to act. Now, as the force of buoyancy is a vertical force. Why vertical force? Because here we have already mentioned it to be as an upward force, and is equal to the weight of fluid displaced by the body. So the center of buoyancy will be the center of gravity of fluid displaced. So this is very important point that we need to remember. The center of buoyancy will be equal to the center of gravity of fluid displaced. Now the next theory is metacenter. So metacenter is the point about which a body starts oscillating when the body is tilted by a small angle. So we are going to discuss about this in our next theory also in detail, but for a while let's say we are having some vessel like this which is floating in a water. So here suppose we are giving a small tilt to this body in this way. So the metacenter will be a point, let's say it is at this point, so it is a point about which the body starts oscillating. So here the meta center may also be defined as a point at which the line of action of force of buoyancy will meet the normal axis of the body when the body is given small angular displacement. So this definition we will look into our next slide, that the line of action of force of buoyancy will meet the normal axis of body. So we will see that over here. So here this is the floating body, that is not completely submerged, but a half portion of the body is inside the water. So here we are having a center of gravity G and center of buoyancy B, and this will be considered as normal axis. And now let the body is in equilibrium and G is center of gravity and B is center of buoyancy. So for equilibrium, both points lie on normal axis, which is vertical, that is over here. So this is the equilibrium condition. Now let the body is given a small angular displacement in clockwise direction. So here this is the direction in which we are giving the angular displacement. So here you need to see over here is, now the normal axis is not a vertical one, now it is inclined one for this body, as you can see. So G and B, and now here the center of the weight force will remain in pure downward direction like this. Here you can see over here, that is W. W will be passing through the G itself and it will be vertically downward direction. Let the body is given a small angular displacement in the clockwise direction. So now the center of buoyancy as per definition is the center of gravity of the displaced liquid, or the center of gravity of portion of body submerged in the liquid. So what happens, that here if we need to have explanation of this, let's first erase this part. So center of buoyancy will be, let's say, the part of body which is submerged over here, that is this part. Okay, so this is the part that is submerged. So this point B1, this point, that is the point which is shown over here is B1, that is the center of gravity of this displaced liquid. That is now shifted towards the right of the normal axis. So here, as you can see, that previously the point which was B on normal axis is now shifted towards the right hand side of that, that is B1, and B1 is now shown in this figure. So here the line of action of force of buoyancy, that is this one, interacts with this normal axis at point M. So this was the normal axis, and this is the line of action of the buoyant force through new point B1. So this both will interact at point M, and this point M is known as the meta center. So this is the meta center at point M. Now the next point of discussion is distance mg, that is this distance. Mg, the distance mg is the distance between the meta center of floating body and the center of gravity of the body is known as metacentric height. So here we have seen two things. First is meta center, which is the interaction of the normal axis and the line of force. And Gm is the metacentric height. Now we will discuss about analytical method for metacentric height, that is evaluation of metacentric height. So this is the figure for the same. Now we need to slightly focus on this. So this is the first, this portion is the front view of the figure. Okay, so here the portion which is submerged in the liquid is denoted with A, B, C and D. So this is the portion which is submerged in the liquid, and the entire body is having center of gravity G, and the center of buoyancy is B. So let me give you another clear understanding of this. So this is A, B, C and D. So let's say this to be X and Y. So what happens? We have two things. Let's say first focus on X, Y, C and D. and the portion which is submerged is this one. That is A, B, C and D. So this is the entire body and this is the submerged body. So here the center of gravity of this will be let's say this to be G1, and this is the portion of the body which is submerged inside. So let's say this is the center of gravity of this part is G2. So what you are observing in the figure is that in actual figure G1 is shown as G, and here G2 is shown as equal to B. Okay, so that is the fundamental behind this, that B is actually the center of gravity of the submerged part ABCD. Now the floating body is given a small angular displacement in clockwise direction. So as you can see, we have given a small angular displacement in clockwise direction. And one more thing is, this is the top view. This is the top view of the figure. And now we can see that the total length is L, and what we are going to do over here is to have a small strip like this having a thickness of dx at a distance of x. Now as we have already seen in our previous slide, that the new center of buoyancy is B1, that is point is over here. The vertical line through B1 cuts the normal axis at M, that is over here. Hence M is the metacenter and GM is the metacentric height. Now here the angular displacement of body in clockwise direction causes a wedge shaped prism BOB prime. So let me tell you over here that this point over here is point O. So here you can see this will be the point O. So here a new portion is now submerged in the liquid, that is OB prime B, and on the left hand side, as you can see, some portion has come out of the liquid, that is AOA prime. So both will be symmetrical over here about point O. So here the angular displacement of body in clockwise direction causes a wedge shaped prism BOB prime on right side of the axis to go inside the water that is over here, while the identical wedge shaped prism represented by AOA prime emerges out of the water on the left hand side of the axis. So now these wedges represent a gain in buoyant force on the right hand side. So as the new portion is submerged over here, so there is a gain in the buoyant force by a quantity of dFb. So here we have gained the buoyant force, and these wedges represent a gain in the buoyant force on the right side and a corresponding loss of buoyant force on the left side. So here the second wedge, that is AOA prime, has come out of the water. So here we are having a loss of buoyant force. So here the gain is represented by a vertical force dFb acting through COG of prism BOB prime. So let's say that the prism is like this, O B prime and B, and here this is the angle theta, and the center of gravity of this wedge is, let's say, this. So here there will be a buoyant force like this, that is dFb, while the loss is represented by equal and opposite force dFb vertically downward through the centroid of AOA prime. That is, the similar kind of condition is present over here. So this will be, let's say, this is point O, A prime and A. This angle will be theta, and as this is the loss of buoyant force, so it is through the center of gravity of this prism, and it will be downward dFb. Now if you see one more thing, that here this dFb force couple on both the sides. So if we consider both of them together, then it is creating a moment on counterclockwise direction due to dFb force couple. So here it will try to bring back this floating body into normal position. So the same thing is here written over here, that the couple due to this buoyant forces tends to rotate the ship in counterclockwise direction. And one more thing is, the moment caused by the displacement of center of buoyancy B2 B1, here it should be B1, is here in clockwise direction. Actually, let me show you this. So here this is the buoyant force which is present over here, FB, from B to B1. So this will be acting in, this FB will be acting also in counterclockwise direction, that is over here. So these two couples must be equal. So let's derive this. So first we will copy this. So here first we will begin with the area. We have, as I told you, that we are considering this small strip. So first we will calculate the area of the strip, and let's focus first on the small prism here. Let's say this to be O, B prime and B, and this is the angle theta. So here we have taken a small strip at a distance of x. So let's say this is the strip that we have taken. Which is at a distance of x. So this will be the distance x. So if we need to evaluate the length over here, then arc is equal to angle into radius. So this can be written as angle will be over here as, let's say, theta into the radius as x. So this is the value of arc that we have obtained. And now here the area, as we can see that the thickness over here is dx. So it can be seen in this way that let me redraw this part over here in slightly enlarged way. Then here this length is x into theta, we can say, and this will be dx. So we can multiply this two as multiplication of two lengths. So this will be x theta into dx. One more thing that we can see over here is the total length of this body is L. So we can also get the volume V, that is area into L. So this will be equal to x theta dx into L. Now the weight of the strip. Is equal to rho g v is equal to rho g into, instead of volume we can write down x theta dx into L. So this is the weight that we have calculated, and if you see, we have calculated this weight only for this wedge shape, that is over here O B prime B. Similarly, we can calculate the similar weight for A, O and A prime, and the value will be same as this. So here we will have two things. One force FB is here and another force is over here FB at about a point O. This is the point X, the distance X, and here also this is the distance X. So obviously we can see that here a couple is generated due to this force, which will be in counterclockwise direction, and the total distance is 2x between the two forces. So we can calculate the moment of couple. That will be equal to rho g x theta dx L into two x. Why 2x? Because the total distance is 2x over here. So finally we are getting this as 2 rho g x square theta L dx. So this is the moment of couple for the small strip, and total moment of couple will be equal to integration to rho g x square theta L dx. So this will be our 1 point, equation 1. And now if we see the figure, then here we are having a force FB1 over here, that is having a shift of center of buoyancy from B to B1. So it has passed through this. So we need to calculate the moment of this, that is Fb multiplied by V into B1. So here it will be equal to Fb multiplied by B1. Now if you see here, if we take M, here we are having B, and here we are having B1. So this is the angle theta. So when we calculate sin theta for this, then it will be equal to B1 divided by Bm. So here theta is very small, so instead of sin theta we can simply write down theta. So finally we are getting Bb1 divided by Bm. So the value of Bb1 is equal to theta into Bm. So we are going to utilize this over here. So is equal to Fb multiplied by Bm multiplied by theta. So this will be our equation number 2. So we can combine both of them. So now we can cancel few things over here. That theta will get cancelled. So let me take the constant terms outside. 2 rho g theta integration x square dx Instead of FB, we can write down the weight displaced, that is W into BM into theta. So this will go, L is left, so L is there. So now we have got this. Now instead of one thing that we need to mention here, that instead of integration x square L dx, we can write down this as second moment of area. Of plan of body at water surface about x is y. So this will be equal to I. So let me rearrange the terms. W into BM is equal to 2 rho. Actually here we need to count for 2 also, so 2 will not be there in the final equation. Rho Gi. So we are getting the value of BM is equal to rho Gi divided by W. So now there are few things that we need to focus on the weight W. W is weight of the body, that is equal to weight of fluid displaced by body that is equal to rho G into volume of fluid displaced is equal to rho G into volume of body submerged in liquid that is equal to rho g v. So Vm is equal to rho g I divided by rho g v, which is equal to I upon v. So instead of now we require the value of gm, that is metacentric height. So if you see here on this line we are having g somewhere here. We have obtained the value of bm. So here bm is equal to bg plus gm. So as we require the value of metacentric height, so gm is equal to bm minus bg. So gm is bm minus bg. So this is the formula for metacentric height that we have derived. So let's copy these things. So here we have derived the entire equation for metacentric height through analytical method. In this way, there are one more thing that we need to discuss over here, that this is the analytical method through which we have obtained the metacentric height. Apart from this, we are also having another method, which is experimental method, to evaluate the metacentric height. However, that doesn't come into a theory part. So in a laboratory session, we will be learning the experimental approach to evaluate the metacentric height. Now the next theories are conditions of equilibrium of floating and submerged bodies, and due to constraint of time we will take this portion, that is stability of submerged and floating body, in our next lecture. So before ending this lecture, we will again revisit the things that we have done today. So today we have started with the buoyancy definition, that is the upward force exerted by a fluid on the body when it is immersed in the fluid. This upward force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the body, and it is called as buoyancy. Then center of buoyancy, that is a point through which the force of buoyancy is supposed to act. Metacenter is the point about which the body starts oscillating. So here we have understood the metacenter as well as metacentric height. And then finally we have discussed the analytical method for evaluation of metacentric height. So we have taken two wedges over here, one wedge which is now a new portion which is submerged in the liquid, and the second wedge on the left hand side is the portion which has come out of liquid. And here we took a small strip for our analysis, and then we integrated the force couple over here, that we integrated the total moment of couple, and we equated it with the moment of couple due to shifting of COB from B to B prime, and we equated both the equations. Here 2 integration x square L dx is the second moment of inertia I, that is written over here. So this is the value of dm, but our goal is to obtain the gm, so gm is bm minus bg. So finally we are getting the metacentric height. So this is the end of today's lecture. I hope you have enjoyed learning the buoyancy and metacentric height. Thank you for watching this video.